This is a video on how to solve one-step equations. Here's our first equation. It says x plus 2 equals 6. It means something plus 2 equals 6. And I know a lot of you can figure that out in your head, but there's a process that will build up into the multiple steps that you have for solving equations. So you're going to see me doing the same steps over and over. I normally draw a dotted line right here to separate my equal sign just so I can keep my equations balanced. Now what I do is I put my pencil or my writing utensil where the variable is. The variable is the letter x. X plus 2. So to get x by itself, we have to move the plus 2. And the way we do that is by doing the opposite. So we subtract 2 from each side. Okay, well 2 minus 2, that's 0. So on the left-hand side I get x equals 6 minus 2 is 4. And then I will box my answer. The next example I have, it says x minus 4 equals 8. Again, I will draw my dotted line right here. Now, I put my pencil where it has the variable, which is x, and it says minus 4. Well, the opposite of minus is plus, so I will add 4 to each side. Because what you do to one side, you have to do to the other to make it stay balanced. These cross out. I get x equals 12. Next example right here, and if you think you know how to do these, pause the video and then try it and then come back and see how you do. Okay, I will take and I will draw a dotted line on the equal sign to balance it. Put my pencil on the variable, on the x. It says minus 4. The opposite of minus 4 is plus 4, so I will add 4 to each side. These cancel out, and I get x equals negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2, and I box my answer. See, because negative 6 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negatives and 4 positives. And a positive takes away a negative. It makes a zero pair. It makes 0. And we call them zero pairs. And see, when you cross them all out, see, you're just left with 2 negatives. That's where that comes from. Here's the next one. I will take my marker and on my red and I will make a dotted line to separate my equation. Put my pencil on the variable and it says x plus 3. The opposite of plus 3 is minus 3. And I will do that to both sides because what I do to one side I must do to the other. These cross out and I get x equals negative 9 minus 3. That is negative 12. And I will box my answer. How did I come up with negative 12? Well, I have 9 negatives, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 3 more. Well, how many total negatives do I have? Well, if you add them all up, you get negative 12. Or you get 12 of them, and they're negative. Here's the next one. I'm going to put a dotted line where the equal sign is. I put my pencil, my writing utensil where the x is. It says 4 plus x equals negative 8. Okay, the plus goes with the x. Okay, so this is not really what I'm looking for the sign. I am looking for this right here. This is a positive 4. So I'm going to do the opposite and put minus 4 to each side. These cancel. X equals negative 12. Because this says negative 8 minus 4, which is 8 negatives and 4 negatives. Here's the next one. Be careful on this one. I'm going to draw my dotted line, and I have negative 3 plus x equals 5. I put my pencil on the x. See, the x is positive. I have negative 3. The opposite of negative 3 is positive 3. I will add 3 to each side. These cancel. I get x equals 5 plus 3 is 8. Again, we're looking more at the process than anything else. The next one, it says 2x equals 8. I'm going to draw my dotted line. Now when they're right next to each other like this means multiplication. So I have 2 times x. The opposite of times is divide. So I will divide each side by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Well, that's the same as a 1x. I can either write it as 1x or you'll see it written as x. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So you could have 1x equals 4, but when we write our answers, you're just going to want to write x equals 4. The next one, I'm going to draw my line at the equal sign. It says 3x equals 12. 3 times x, the opposite of times, is divide. So I will divide both sides by 3. See, if you notice, we're not doing the opposite here. You're dividing by the exact number that's with that variable. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. And so I have 1x equals 12 divided by 3 is 4. There's my answer. Here's the next one. I'm going to draw my line at the equal sign. Now again, this says negative 6 times x equals 18. Negative 6 times x, the opposite of times, is divide. So I will divide each side by negative 6. Again, you divide by exactly what's in front of the x. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. That's why we're doing this, so that this can become a positive x, and that equals negative 3. There's my equation. There's my answer to my equation. The next one, I'm going to draw my dotted line to give my equation balance. I have negative 7 times x equals 21. I'm going to divide by the exact number that's in front of the x, which is a minus 7, or a negative 7, I should say. It's a negative 7. Negative divided by negative is a positive. These cancel. I get x equals negative 3. Here's my next one. Now, again, I go to my equation to balance it, draw my dotted line. This says x divided by 8 equals 3. X divided by 8. The opposite of divide is multiply. So I'm going to multiply each side by 8. Technically, it's 8 over 1. And then these cross out. And I get x equals, this would be 24, 3 times 8 is 24, over 1 times 1 is 1, x equals 24. I tend to leave the over 1 part out. So for example, on the next one, I'll draw my dotted line, and it says x divided by negative 2 equals 6. X divided by negative 2. The opposite of divide is to multiply, so I will multiply both sides by the exact number, by negative 2. Well, negative divided by negative. These right here cross out, and I get x equals 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. Okay, here's another one. I'm going to draw my line. It says 7 times x equals 28. So I'm going to times, the opposite times is divide, so I'm going to divide each side by 7. These cancel out, and I get x equals 3. The next one, I'm going to draw my dotted line. This says x divided by negative 2 equals 8. Divided by negative 2, the opposite of divide is to multiply. So I will multiply each side by negative 2. These cancel because they make 1. X equals 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. Here's another one. I will draw my dotted line on the equal sign. It says negative 6x equals 24. Negative 6 times x equals 24. The opposite of times is divide. I will divide by negative 6. These cancel. And I get x, oops, my paper's moving here. X equals negative 4. Always box your answers. It's easier to find it that way. Alright, here's some practice problems. Let's see if I can pan out a little bit. Maybe you can pause the video right there where you can see all of them and come back and see how you did after you do these 4 problems. I'll start right here on this one. On number 1, I'll draw my dotted line. It says x minus 7 equals negative 4. The opposite of minus 7. See, whenever we're doing the opposite operation. So if this is subtraction, you're doing addition. And we're adding 7 to each side. This cancels, and I get x equals negative 4 plus 7 is positive 3. Okay, there's the next one. I'm going to draw my dotted line. 7 plus x equals negative 4. Okay. This is a positive x and a positive 7. I know that because if there was a minus here, that would be a minus 7. But there is nothing out here, so it's positive 7. So I'm going to subtract 7 from each side. This makes 0. I get x equals negative 4 minus 7 is negative 11. The next one. Draw my line. It says 3x equals negative 27. 3 times x equals negative 27. The opposite of times is divide. So I will divide each side by 3. X equals negative 9. The last one, again, let me draw my balance, my little equals. I have x divided by 6 equals 4. X divided by 6, the opposite of divide is multiply. So I multiply each side by 6. X equals 24 because 4 times 6 is 24.